Today's session is going to be on showcasing your AI skills. And again, the key thing with this session is the same rules apply if you're looking for a job, you're trying to freelance, or you're trying to set up a business. Now, the reason being that the same rules apply is you just have to think any of these things are just an economic exchange. You're trying to either get a job where you're paid money, or you're a freelancer trying to get clients and stuff. And again, you want to be able to show people why they should pay you and not someone else. But I haven't met many of you on this call. So my name's Sobanan. I'm the CEO at Breakthrough Social Enterprise. And my journey into AI skills started about a decade and a bit ago. Well, a decade and a bit ago. I was saying a decade ago last year. Now it's a decade and a bit. But back in 2015, when I was 19 years old, I started to learn about emerging technologies. So this was like some AI, blockchain, 3D printing, and sort of had some foresight, I guess, in the way the world was going. But through life experiences that I had, I was sent to prison when I was 21 for a conspiracy to supply cannabis. And coming out, my career was really shaped by how I was able to use technologies to create opportunities for myself. So whether this was in my own business, whether this was finding employment, or simply being able to exhibit the value that I had to stakeholders who were then able to provide me with opportunities. But today's session is going to be how you guys can use your experience at the bootcamp to be able to achieve this. And if there are any any hesitancies that arise during this, just please do share them, because being asked to showcase your skills is never a comfortable thing. It's something that I still find quite cringy, but it's a necessary evil in a world where the best way to evidence your skills is online. So the big problem statement, right? You've learned a bunch of AI skills, and it seems that everybody across the world is learning how to use AI skills. So how do you exhibit these skills to a wider group of people? Hello, Yuval, and welcome. Now, the key thing is that we're in a world where everyone's using AI skills. In the past, if you had communication skills, you would just write great at communication, relationship building, maybe give an example. Whereas with AI skills, it's a little bit more nuanced than that, in the sense that you have training for them, and there's generalized AI skills. So whether that's AI engineering or prompt engineering or data science, these are very much like skills that show that you have a sort of first principle generalized skill set that can be applied. But once you finish training with us at Breakthrough, you will start to understand that you will have skills in specific tools and use cases. And that's what we really want you to understand today. So we will give you time to think about this, write it down, and please do share them. Again, you can tag us on LinkedIn or anywhere else, and we're more than happy to give you feedback. Now, the key thing to remember is it's not about what you know, it's about what others see you know. And what does this mean? It means that, for example, if you're someone who, you've got a PhD in computer science, you know how to use all the AI tools, you know how to build tools from scratch. It's whether others can see that you truly know that. How would others see that? A decade ago, I would be encouraging all of you to put this on your CVs or put this on a document that you were sharing with recruiters or whoever else. But the world of CVs has changed substantially. Now we talk about portfolios, we talk about social media accounts, we talk about project-based building that then enables employers to see your capability. I have a really good example of someone that I used to work with in a previous company who built a GitHub repository for a Ruby, which is a coding language, API for OpenAI's ChatGPT. So he built this code repository, which was simply an API key for ChatGPT. And it was so highly downloaded that OpenAI have gotten in contact with him, and he now works as one of their external engineers, but he supports them building on that API he initially first built. So the key thing I want you to understand is it's how are people going to see that you can do what you say you're going to do? And that's a simple problem statement that we're going to think about today. So what we're going to cover today and how we're going to solve this problem. You want to first audit your skills. You want to think about the skills you're developing through the program and that you've already developed and what you may be developing moving forward. Then we really want to think about how to make them visible to the world. So we're going to primarily focus on LinkedIn today, because the majority of employment opportunities or economic opportunities today, when it comes to social media platforms, is on LinkedIn. But we will talk about other platforms too. We'll talk about how you could do this on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, or you could do this using a portfolio site. And then finally, having the skills to talk about what you've developed and how you use them with confidence. Because the thing is, you might be able to have a great LinkedIn profile, get an interview. You might be able to have a great portfolio site or a CV and get an interview. But if you don't talk about these skills with confidence, a lot of people fall short. And it's one of the reasons that you have your technical interview, and then you will have your generalist interview for specific tech roles. Because in today's world where technical skills aren't necessarily the massive advantage they used to be, people look at both angles when they want to employ someone, because you want someone who knows how to work within a business and use the technical skills to thrive within that business or to build the solutions in that business. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of a skill audit, and I will give people 5 minutes to have a think about this after I've sort of read it out. But what I want you to do is I want you to start by thinking about every single AI tool you've used. So this could be ChatGPT, it could be Gemini, it could be Gamma, it could be Lovable, it could be NAN, it could be Zapier, it could literally be any one of those tools, right? There are quite a lot of different tools. Then I want you to think about whether you're beginner, confident, or intermediate, or advanced. Then finally, I want you to write evidence for what you can do with these tools. So what's the skill you have? So is it with Lovable that you know how to connect APIs to a website to make a landing page? Is it with ChatGPT, you know how to use connectors and you know how to build out a ChatGPT or LLM function within an organization? Do you know how to build evidence bases or SOPs using these documents? So once you go through this, and what we'll do is, like, I will give you guys 5 minutes to just list out all the tools, rate yourself as a beginner, confident, or advanced with them, and then evidence. So one example for each skill. What have you done with those skills? Brilliant. Welcome back, everyone. So going on to what it could look like, right? So what your checklist could look like and some of the things you'll have over time. So prompt engineering, again, effective prompts for ChatGPT, Copilot, or Gemini. Or if you wanted to do that in a more holistic lens, you could just say prompt engineering for LLMs, AI image creation using any one of those. And again, you could also be talking about video generation here, but this gives you a rough idea of the different things you can add to your skill audit, right? Content and copywriting, again, Tim mentioned that on his contribution. And then data and analysis. So this could be analyzing long documents, contracts. It could be looking at data sets, right? One of the things that's quite fun to do is download random data sets that are publicly available, putting them into AI and seeing what kinds of analysis you can draw. Because again, in the past, that would have required a data science or a statistics background. Today, it requires access to a large language model, and you're relatively easily able to look through data. Now, how do you make this visible? So how do you show the world? So first of all, is your LinkedIn profile is a no-brainer, right? So thinking about when it comes to your LinkedIn profile, you want to think about your headline. So I can show you guys what mine looks like. And one of the things that will help you to understand is, like, the reasons you want a headline is because this bit here is what the first thing people see. And now when it's the first thing people see on your profile, it means that you will literally be directing people to you and they will show an interest. So if you're like, I'm an expert in Lovable, or no, you won't write I'm an expert. You have to find a catchy way of framing this. Again, AI can help do that. But this headline is the first key bit of what you want to do. After you do the headline, you want to think about your portfolio. So this is a good place to start. So you have featured posts, right? Now, your featured posts could be things that you're proud of, things that are moments in your career, or posts that are doing well. So I talked about winning an essay competition that I wrote about my prison experience, or a blog that I write about reintegrating post-prison, or, for example, my first visit to the House of Lords that I was invited to after prison. Now, these things form what will draw people to what you're talking about. And they could be the beginnings of what you call portfolio pieces. So you could also do bits of work where you're comparing what you used to do and what you now do. And the other thing that's quite nice about LinkedIn is, for example, if I go back to my LinkedIn page, there's something on the bottom of your LinkedIn profile called skills, right? And so you have qualifications, you also have skills here. Now, these skills are things you can add and link to courses. So once you finish the breakthrough course, one example of what you can do is you can add it into your skills and certifications, or you can put it into your skills. So you could write something like, I don't know if they have a ChatGPT skill now, but we're going to find out. So ChatGPT, for example, is a skill. And then what you do is you link it to something you've done in the past. And now why this is really powerful is it shows employers that you've used it in a practical circumstance. They don't have Lovable on there. Do they have Zapier? Zapier's a skill on here. You can go through and find a number of different skills and then linking them back. And the key thing is you can also then do quizzes or qualifications related to it. So one of the other pieces I'd recommend is if you guys have any premium LinkedIn offers to do licenses and certifications, and anyone you've worked with in the past, just ask them to leave recommendations. The reason recommendations are so powerful is that it's another human being giving their 2 cents about what you do for work. So this starts to, and we're more than happy to, if you guys want us to leave recommendations, you can ask your facilitator to leave something on your page after you complete the program. So that gives you an idea of how you kit out your LinkedIn page. And I think kitting it out is one of the most impactful things you can do for your career. Displaying your certificate for breakthrough, many learners will put posts about that. But I would also recommend putting in your licenses and certification section. Remember, we're a level 3 Department for Education accredited bootcamp. That means that the government have funded us to deliver these programs. And in a time where primarily most AI skills programs come from big tech companies, it's good to have something that looks different and provides you an alternative community. Next, some things I want you to think about is you want to think about the role you already do or are interested in. So for example, like Tim, you described marketing and content creation. So AI trained marketer, AI powered marketer, AI enabled marketer. Like this all provides you with a level of nuance, because you're not just going for any role. Then you want the breakthrough graduate element, especially when you've just completed the program, can help to excuse why you want to interact with us, or if you want to do a project with us or anything like that. For anyone who doesn't know, 40% of the people employed at Breakthrough are previous learners. So people who've completed our programs and gone through, because we believe one of the best ways we can support people after they complete programs is by providing real world opportunities, whether that's a volunteering opportunity or a freelance opportunity or a job. One of those 3 can help people to really figure out what their journey is afterwards and what sector they want to focus on. The next sentence is in your about page. Now, the reason your about section is important is it's the story you start to tell. So when you think about your about section, that's here, right? Here's your about section. So it's a story, if anything, and the storytelling principles apply across the board. No one really, like, you know, the old CV, I am a high functioning executive who goes above and beyond, and I can't think of it. I have strong relationship building skills. I'm highly efficient in Microsoft Excel, Word. It's just boring. Like no one wants to read that. Even when I was saying that, it feels like it switches your mind off with all that corporate jargon and, like, in honesty, nonsense, right? Because how would you, whether that person has written on their CV they're highly competent in Microsoft Excel and Word, or whether they've written that they fell in love with technology because they love to pick apart computers as a kid, you know, both people can do the same thing. It's just one has told you an engaging and interesting story. The other person has just told you what they do. Remember, people don't want to know what or how, they want to know why, if that makes sense, right? So again, like for my story, it was talking about going from medical school to prison to leading a social enterprise. And that journey, in 2 lines has encompassed more than a CV or an entire about page could encompass in 1,000 words if I was just talking about my career. And think about the things you care about. Think about the story you're telling in that about section, right? I don't know, I'm getting a software update notification right now. Next, you want to think about your featured post. So this could be a project, or it could be a post that you've done during the program. It could be a post that's done really well. And for anyone interested, there's something called the Copywriting Bible. I'll share a link to it in the chat. Has anyone heard of the Copywriting Bible before? Now, when it comes to interviews, I want you to think about how you would approach it using the STAR method. The STAR method is a methodology the civil service use. A number of corporates use it too. Now, I would recommend also connecting with people as a human being. You don't have to get it perfect, if that makes sense. So your methodology doesn't have to be so good that you're just thinking situation, task, AI action, or action, result, right? So I would say things like, think about, I was completing the Breakthrough Bootcamp and I was trying to build a portfolio website. I needed to create something that was both creative and visual simultaneously. Creative and accurate simultaneously. So I decided to use Midjourney to create my images, but I also used Lovable to build the website. And then I used a large language model to build the backend, because that's how I needed to, because I didn't understand how to code from scratch. the positive outcome was that ultimately I was able to build something that was both technically capable and also visually appealing, that was centered around the user. That star method really helps. And the AI action is also your action. I think we get really confused today to think like the AI does everything for us. It doesn't, right? It still requires a human being to basically take action, to make a move on what they're doing, and then the AI will spit out an output, but you still need the input, right? It's like thinking about, like, a calculator does the maths without the working out, but you still need to understand the principles of maths to get there. So just think about this when it comes to your own work experiences or your own experience of the bootcamp. Does anyone have any questions on this slide? Okay, so think about your narrative, right? One of the key things that will determine how you thrive both post-program but also in this world of AI is how well are you able to position a narrative around the reason you learned AI. Now, it's like thinking like this. You know, I was made redundant from my job because I learned that AI, or I'm going to reframe that. I was made redundant from my job. So I looked outside to figure out where the world was headed. I discovered how AI was transforming industries. So I decided to invest in myself through completing breakthroughs training. Use our organization as that, like the sort of pathway you went through, because it's one of those things that not only helps because you have a reference in that space. So a lot of the times what you'll see online is people saying they know about AI, or they've learned AI, or they've done this and that. Employers very much struggle to verify this. When we speak to employers all the time, there's very much an issue of like, how do we know that these people who are approaching us know how to use the tools as well as they say they do? So a lot of our work goes on educating employers on what does AI ready or AI capable mean? And it's why we run webinars on those topics too. So one of the key things I want you to think about is, how do you use your breakthrough experience to your advantage? Big part of that is create social media content during the program. You know, when you're creating something, building something, tag us on LinkedIn, show us what you're capable of, because that will then help us to share that with our networks of employers. Again, the other area is thinking about it from the why, how, and the impact. So I'm going to use Tim as an example because I know you're in marketing it. I saw AI transforming marketing agencies. I wanted to learn how to use these tools to become not only a better marketer, but a better human. I'm going to throw that out there. So I decided to complete Breakthroughs Bootcamp, where I learned how to combine creativity, commercial acumen, and AI to be able to build what is the marketing methods of the future, or something like that. Obviously, I've just made that up on the spot. The point is, we have AI tools that can help us to sort of simply create that, as well as to be able to tell the story in a way that fits for us. You know, we talk about things like purpose-led branding, human centrism, this idea of how do we create a marketing experience or a employment experience for people that centers their human experience, but also allows AI to reduce the amount of work they have to do. So thinking about your framing is the biggest bit on how you can use your narrative to help position yourself at an advantage. And think about your unfair advantages. Every single person here will have elements of their life experience and their stories that give them that unique advantage. So you'll see, for example, for me, that is recognizing, throw in the breakthrough AI ethics. Exactly, Julian. That's a very, very good point. Everyone will have these experiences. So like, for example, for me, that was going to prison. For other people, it might be moving countries. For other people, it might be being made unemployed or a health issue they went through. Remember, you can literally choose an experience that you've had in life that's often either been difficult or something you've made a lot of meaning out of, and then use that as the real sort of building block for that next stage. So just thinking, what is your AI story? What do you want it to look like to an employer or a client? And where do you link that humanness with the technology in how you approach it? 3 things I would like you to do before the end of the week coming is complete your skill audit. So list a bunch of tools, rate your confidence, note at least 1 example for each tool. Update your LinkedIn. And once you've updated your LinkedIn, feel free to share it or tag us online. Myself, Jasmine, or one of the team will be more than happy to give you feedback on it. And add at least 1 featured post. And practice your AI story. I say my AI story like way too many times a day. And you start by just doing it to a friend or a mirror, voice note, take a video of yourself, whatever it is. But like, the more you repeat it, the more permanent it becomes in your mind, and the more able you will become to contextualize it according to who you're talking to in the room you're in. So this will be a nice starting point for each of you as a way to start to evidence to the world your AI skills. And finally, the next steps I would ask you all to do is stay connected with your fellow Breakthrough alumni, your Breakthrough students. Each of those WhatsApp groups and the community of both learners and staff members is very much key to both being able to provide you with support and also opportunities. There will be more upcoming sessions, so look out for webinars on topics like today and check your inbox or your WhatsApp group chats. And finally, stay connected with us, whether it's on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, whatever platform. Please do stay connected with us because it allows us to both communicate with you, share opportunities, and share insights. Finally, that's such a cheesy way to end, but it's quite nice. And it was from AI. But thank you all for showing up today. And now please do go show off your skills.